Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake of the Ancient Illumination series, as well as the Umbani Chronicles, and I am joined once again by Jocelyn Short.
Yo.
She is a concept artist and illustrator, creator of a series called Bearers. There will be a link in the description. There'll be a link to her website in the description of this episode once we post the audio to Spotify for podcasters. We are also joined by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He is the creator of Evil of Insurrection, Evil Reclamation, as well as Growing in the Garden. He is also the illustrator on the Ancient Illumination graphic novels, as well as the Umbani Chronicles comics. And there will also be a link to his Shopify website if you're interested in any of his art, as well as a link to my author site. We are here to talk about Loki, the finale. It's finally over with. We've got all the episodes. This one, I believe, was titled Glorious Purpose, which is a throwback line, I believe, to the 2012 Avengers movie when he says, I am burdened with glorious purpose. They even, in the opening scene, they even have a flashback to that point where he says that. Spoilers, if you have not finished the series of all the things we're about to discuss, I'm about to go through very quickly my breakdown of kind of what happened, and then we'll each discuss. Basically, the TVA has been wiped at the end of episode 5, and Loki is trying to go back and fix it because now he's controlled his time slipping. Basically, he thinks he has two choices that he and Sophie were given to in season 1. That would be either to take over basically as the Time Lords in place of He Who Remains, or Sylvie could kill him and basically try and do the same thing and await the multiversal war. So we see him here. It was kind of a cool episode where he gets time slip through various points prior to the TVA wipe, basically trying to fix things over and over again and find a solution that works. And nothing works even when he has like a perfected plan that he has executed.
Centuries, remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it took too long.
It's gonna take centuries. My man literally disappears for centuries.
Yeah. Obi initially says we take, so he thinks, oh, we took too long. He's just trying to make this process faster and faster. They kind of gloss over something. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but he seems to ask Miss Minutes for help in one of the flashbacks. He jumps into the room and they're sitting there, and he's like, I know you've been hurt. I know you're angry, but basically it's going bad. We need your help. And then Miss Minutes just blinking big-eyed at him the whole time. She doesn't really say anything. And they never pay that off in any way that I see or recall. Do you guys recall them going back to that moment and seeing Miss Minutes give some type of input?
I do.
You do?
I do. I remember I just finished watching it. And so I was like, it's unfortunate that I think the payoff was just that it was meant to be like a funny moment. Like Miss Minutes was like,
yeah.
Like, what?
My next note says Victor Timely, LOL, just because we get to see this man get destroyed over and over again in the worst rendition of Groundhog's Day ever. This man just spaghettified over and over again. My boy forgets to latch his helmet. He drops the thing, and Loki knows like everything. Sylvie's look on her face when Mobius brings them down to OB's office, and basically he's trying to like, forget all these shenanigans. You both wrote the book that started the TVA. Now that we got that over with, and she just like, the camera goes to her and she like kind of looks at him all crazy before he goes to the field. And then even Mobius, that was hilarious when he's finally like, what the shit? I fell out laughing when he said that, when he would try to pull him to the side like, what the shit?
Yeah, that was a funny scene. We're like, oh snap, Mobius is like hip, like wait, like Loki is really like locked in, and like I'm trying to fix this. Like I thought it was funny when I first watched it. I kind of missed like details where it was like him being gone for a whole century. So like it was kind of answering this question of like, or it was kind of validating, verifying why, affirming why like Loki was so like calculated and pinpointed because he became a scientist in a way and like studied craft and like knew how to do it all. So
yeah,
it's funny that Mobius was like, what's going on?
Yeah, time was no issue.
Exactly. You a time when you manipulate time, that don't matter no more.
Yeah, he's like, oh, a century? I can go back and do a century, and it's no problem. Obi, the funny part too is Obi, if you look at Obi's face while he's inputting the password to the TVA in the loom room, and he's looking at him like, how does he's doing it all quick.
Mm-hmm.
He's just inputting everything.
That part was so funny. Like when he was on the keyboard, he was just, and I was like, bro.
And then Timely just repeatedly calling him wizard was hilarious to me.
I love that.
Yeah, so none of that works. I wasn't surprised that none of that worked, but none of that works. So Loki decides he's going to go back to the time where Sylvie kills He Who Remains.
Which I thought was hilarious, by the way.
That was hilarious.
I'm like, this is literally what Ron's been complaining about. They're going to address it.
But they didn't.
Well, they did. Loki still couldn't do what needed to be done. So
yeah, because I'm just gonna be the first to raise my hand. I'd have offed her, like
you're gonna die.
Off top. And the reason, my reasoning is because when we get to the very end, when they have their one-on-one time, because He Who Remains, they finally have a time where they get into the discussion where they both can freeze time, and it was funny to see He Who Remains make fun of himself basically. When he starts stuttering,
like Victor,
he told you it was a scaling problem. That's what he told you. Like that was hilarious. Yeah, all that stuff. That conversation was awesome. I loved Jonathan Majors at this part where he gets to come back as He Who Remains and have that repartee back and forth with him. And he's like, "How many times have we had this conversation?" And him being like, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. That kind of loop was interesting. And things he realizes he can't stop it. Question though, either of y'all can answer this. After all this time, shouldn't Loki know Sylvie's every move? Like have a counter before the counter?
I think it wasn't so much about him knowing her counter. Because I think he did. I think he just couldn't bring himself to because I think at every point, even knowing all her counters, it still came down to like he wanted to change her mind and he just couldn't do it. Like he just couldn't bring himself to kill her no matter what, even with knowing all her counters. Because like I think it could have just been where like he knew her counters, he probably could have like threw her off or whatever, but at the end of the day he was just like I just don't want to do this. And I'm buying myself time to try to figure this out. Mm-hmm. And, she can keep knocking me down until I figure this out. I can't figure it out. So I have to do,
Yeah.
And she's also going to keep fighting. So
right.
Like he didn't, honestly, he wasn't about that life. So I'm like, all right, Loki, I know you're not going to do what needs to be done. You're trying to figure a workaround.
Yeah. But at the same time, they both got to the point where he could just freeze her.
I thought
he was like, wait a minute. What makes you think I didn't figure out how to time? And then he points at him like that. So I was like, okay, if he's gotten that far, he should have had a solution figured out. I understand that he couldn't bring himself to kill her. Like, I mean, one, especially after hearing her answer when he figured out that these are like the only choices he's given. I figured he would know her every move. He Who Remains confirms that the TVA is just a backup, fail-safe loop that's easy to rebuild. He's like, the only thing is going to destroy everything but the sacred timeline. And
the loom was the fail-safe of TVA.
Yeah, and so I don't understand why he didn't, especially like I said, after that final conversation when he decides to do what he's going to do. Loki decides he's going to rewrite the equation, but not eliminate the most problematic variable, in my opinion, which is the Kangs. He's not going to eliminate that. He finally is able to kind of let go of his attachment, and Kang doesn't fight him on it. That's what was surprising to me, that he's just like, okay. you're going to keep going round and round, and you're going to try and do whatever you do. He just puts his hands up and says, okay. And in my opinion, it seemed like he was going back in time again, but this time to say goodbye to his closest friends and kind of get closure, because he goes back to Mobius to say goodbye. When he flashes back to that, in like the interrogation scene where he's sitting in the office with the thing on his neck, and then he asked him, and then Mobius tells him about when Renslayer was able to prune the 8-year-old that was going to kill 5,000 lives and cause such a stir, and he hesitated, and he stands up and shakes his hand. To me, that was him kind of saying goodbye, knowing what he was going to do later. Like, I have to say goodbye to my friends. I'm not going to have no friends. I'm just going to be at the end of time by myself. And then he goes and does the same to Sylvie when they're at like the new old TVA, OB's office, when he thinks he's a sci-fi writer and things start to spaghettify. He talks to Sylvie and she still don't get it. And that's why I'm like, I would have done it, because she still doesn't get that nothing still equals nothing. Like, if there's nothing left and you have a chance to try and save things in whatever form you can, she still would rather just burn it to the ground. Like, there is no existence. Kang has told you the multiversal war is coming, where there's a danger of everything in existence being wiped out as a result. And she's still like,
but she was standing 10 toes down on that. I can't fault her for that. At least she
you can.
I gotta respect the character that commits to a certain ideal or behavior. I can't be mad if they're gonna be.
She said the people deserve agency even in death.
Yeah,
that is a quintessential spiting your nose because of your face, like.
But it's that's what she believes. She's fighting for her cause.
Yeah, I can appreciate, like you said, her not wavering, even if it, like, just because. I mean, it's interesting, like, for her to be so unwavering in her resolve for 2 whole seasons. I think it's very
impressive.
Yeah, I don't know why. To be so resolved. I mean, I guess I can understand just based on her arc, in which she's been hunted her entire existence,
That.
and has had to live throughout apocalypse after apocalypse, and she's just like, man, I've had no choice and had to exist in the most terrible circumstances. People deserve choice no matter what. So I can appreciate that. It's not right.
And that's my point.
It doesn't even matter,
That's my main point. Is her solution is not a solution. It's if I'm going to fight for something to the point where it destroys everything, including myself, then like, what we fighting for at that point?
But people like this exist. Just saying, people.
Like, I have the choice to whoop my own ass. I don't. What choice is that? Honestly,
that's her choice. That's that person's choice. It's not constructive. It's not constructive.
And that's my main issue with it. I would understand people that bitch about problems. I am keen to listen to, as long as they're coming with solutions. And if you have no solutions, and whatever you're going to do in this moment out of emotion is going to completely wreck everything.
To be fair, to only be fair, just because I think she was always going to do what she was going to do, and Loki was coming to her for help.
Yeah,
like at this point, and maybe I'm just not remembering. I'm not sure why he still needed her, like, to accomplish whatever all that he was trying to accomplish, to like fix it. I'm not sure exactly why he still needed her, because she was always going to do what she was going to do. Yeah. And so I'm like, why do you keep going back to her for help?
Because I think they're they're both Lokis. They're kindred spirits, and he wanted, and she was there at the kind of the beginning of this tumultuous fall. So it's almost like, if me and Jocelyn kick the can of paint over together, kind of, then when it comes time to try and mop this paint up, I'm probably going to go back and say, hey, Jocelyn, we need to kind of
you gotta do this.
yeah, we need to mop this up. And that's my main problem with her is not that she has that attitude in the beginning, because like you said, she had no choice in what happened. It's the fact that after she's on the other side of the coin and sees the direct result of her actions and knows for a fact that that is kind of the turning point, because she even says it herself, like, this is where the multiverses started branching. She's sitting there in the TVA, and she at that moment she sees it, and even after all these kind of epiphanies and moments of clarity that should have crystallized things for her, she's still going about the route that she's going to go.
Well, it is interesting just even to continue this part of her personality, like, because she seemed to care about what was happening and the consequences of her actions when she saw with her own eyes that everything was disappearing around her. That's the only time she's cared. So even after Loki went back to that moment with He Who Remains and she was about to kill him and they were fighting, she couldn't hear him just because, like, even after Loki told her, I've seen it, I've been there, I know it, she still was like, man, whatever. That's not what time I'm on. Because that, you know, she just can't see anything outside of her own kind of viewpoint, which
She got that tunnel vision.
right, which you know, like, it could just be tunnel vision, could be her art, could be part of being a Loki, just being so single-minded and selfish in specific regards. And maybe in this way it plays out for her. But yeah, I noticed that was the only time she was able to be like, the branches are dying, we have to do something. And that was
lime cake.
Right.
Lime cake. We don't care about this cake.
Right. It was like as soon as she could see it, it was like she had the Pikachu face, like.
And that's the only reason why I say, because she's so steadfast and like she's not going to be a solution to the problem, is the only reason I would be advocating for going ahead and nixing her. Once you realize, like, this, you know, this is all that's going to happen. Like, this, you are the reason Ragnarok is coming, and every time we put you in this situation, even when we give you other information that proves this is what happens, you're still going to go ahead and do that. I'm sorry, I'd have been the Time Lord, froze her real quick. Hey, I hate to do it.
You would have frozen or stabbed her, right?
Yeah, because I mean,
Loki, just close your eyes. Just close your eyes.
Yeah, just don't look at. Yeah.
Just close your eyes. Turn around. Just
just don't look.
Right.
Yeah, don't look. You know, just and like I said, and also both of those solutions, like I said, don't get rid of the worst variable. What the main issue is going to end up being, and that's He Who Remains. He basically says he's going to rewrite the equation, but the variables are still going to be there that are going to cause the problem. He knows it too, because he said, you know, him and He Who Remains have that conversation. It's like, they're coming. He's like, we'll try and stop them. They're infinite. He's like, I know. He's like, it doesn't matter. And he's like, all right. Didn't he call him champ? He's like, all right, champ. You got it. And so once he realizes that he can't kill Sylvie, he decides to time skip back to where the TVA is about to be destroyed again. And my boy, this was the coolest part, I think, of the episode, when my boy just walks out, no suit, and his Loki uniform reappears. These big old green horns just start forming. And he creates it. There is no path to walk out in space. It just, he's invisible stairs just guide him up, and he starts picking up these dead branches.
That's when I stood up.
Multiverse.
Him touching them after. Wait, I got it. Like, the whole thing was like, it once he blew it up, and I was like, oh, first of all, that was just beautiful how he blew up the loom. Yeah. And then you just see all these dead strands, this kind of green energy, and then he starts reinvigorating them and pulling them. And this is when it got real anime really fast. I was like, wait a second, did this man just take the threads and like create a cloak out of it? I'm like,
I was like, yes, that's what I was screaming.
It almost reminded me of I don't know if y'all remember that movie, The Cell.
Oh yes,
the horror film. But the dude had the one of the villains had the cape, that was attached to the ceiling and the wall. You didn't realize until he stands up and walks forward and the drapes and the ceiling start coming with him. Yeah, when he had that kind of reminded me a little bit of that when he had the
It was so sick.
multiverse timelines in his hands and he's just walking up, and then when he goes to sit on that little golden encrusted
sick.
throne
So sick,
to
man.
become the Time Lord. I like the line that he says to Sylvie, I know what kind of God I need to be for you and for all of us. And he becomes basically the god of stories, or the Time Lord. My boy is picking up branches of timeline and literally breathing life back into them, and becomes a living loom. And then as they kind of, after he pulls them all together and the green glow goes, it turns from horizontal to vertical. And I think it's kind of a homage to like Yggdrasil, or the Norse god's living tree, or the world tree, Yggdrasil. Yeah. So
I thought
now
that
that's
was beautiful. That was beautiful. I was like, yeah.
That was a picturesque scene right there.
It's so good. I'd say
finally closure. Like this is how you end something. This is how you end Loki's story. Like this is like perfect. I was like, God.
It's really good. I when he first started walking out on the bridge, and then like his clothes melted away, and then the cloak came out. That's when I stood up, started screaming.
You were fist pumping the air, looking at the
TV.
TV.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And then the cloak, the strands turned into the cloak. I was like, oh my God. I was losing my mind. Okay. I was like, I agree with you. Okay. This is how an arc should go. I was so upset that it took so long for us to see some Loki stuff happen. Okay. I mean, it's a good payoff. I just was upset it took so long. But I can appreciate that it's kind of poetic that he is no longer Loki, god of chaos, destruction, and mischief. Now he's a god of creation, where he's taking all these looms, all these timelines, and he, like you said, he breathed life back into them, and is now responsible for life. So
yeah, he becomes, and I think he's become the Time Lord now. He's basically the ruler of all the timelines. I'm wondering if.
Wait a second. The time stone is green, y'all.
Yeah. The Eye of Agamotto has green in it.
I didn't even think about the fact that time stone is green, because when you said time, I'm like blah, 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 calculations. I'm like, wait a second, time stone is green.
Do we think Sylvie replaces him at the TVA? Basically, she's kind of.
I hope not.
We don't care about Sylvie.
Bro, you know she's gonna stick her nose where it don't belong. So I think she is. That's why she's hanging out with Mobius. Mobius decides he's gonna quit, and then they end it, and we see Ravonna Renslayer wake up. I think at a previously defunct and destroyed TVA where they made that because you see the something always the moniker on the ground as Eliath, the shadow or whatever guard dog thing that was holding things there. As she wakes up, you hear it roar, and you see like the purple light reflecting off of her face as she kind of wakes up, and she's looking all crazy. Mobius quits and wants to go. Like, what is he gonna creep on himself? Is that what he's doing? He said, "I'm gonna let time pass," but he's just looking at his other self and his boys. Like, I'm gonna let time pass. Wow, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that long shot looking at himself was very old. Wow.
He's creeping on himself. That's just weird. Like,
slip in and just become that version of yourself. Slip in. I was thinking about that the entire time. Watching it.
If they ended on a good note, I enjoyed it thoroughly, even though a lot of this wasn't really in my wheelhouse as far as shows go, because there wasn't as much action. But even when there wasn't as much action in this series, you still felt a lot of kinetic energy, and the comedic stuff was really good. It was kind of a quirky show. I like that, making it unique from the other shows that we've watched. What did you guys think?
I felt like I said, I appreciated that we finally understood, like in the last episode and this episode, that like the thing that's driving Loki is that he just does not want to be alone. But I'm upset that it took so long for the heart of that message to reveal itself. Like I feel like we should have understood that earlier on. I just felt like, especially in the second season, that I understand it was like a lot of plot stuff they had to get through, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I just felt like the heart of the show was missing. I was like, I'm really not sure, like, where we're going with this. And like, yeah, of course you can have some mystery along the way to get to your point, but like, I was like, I am not sure what the point is, up until like the last 2 episodes, and I was like, oh, okay, sure. And it made me feel like him not wanting to be alone was something they figured out. Like when they were writing the episodes, it's like they figured out he didn't want to be alone in the like as they were writing the last 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, well,
Was that not enough for you, or did that feel? Would you have felt better had we been given more information about his need to feel and connect to other people?
Yeah, I would have felt better if, like, whatever his need it was, aside, like Sylvie was trying to drag it home. She was trying to drive it home. In the last episode, not the last one,
5.
5, right? She was like digging at him, like, what do you want? What do you want? And
like Ryan Gosling, what do you want?
Right. And I'm like, yes, that's the question that should have been apparent this whole time. That should have been apparent from the jump. Like, and don't get me wrong, I really like how the show had resolved itself. Like, I like the resolution. I'm not mad at it.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like the core problem of Loki was not made clear for a long time, and that was what was frustrating. I felt so.
Interesting.
Yeah, like the problem of the TVA was made clear.
Yes, that was always clear.
Right,
but his personal journey wasn't.
Right, because
I think it kind of was because of the examples we saw of him, which kind of makes it more poignant that he was super self-absorbed and selfish. And I think the poignant thing about it was that the one thing that he wanted most in order to kind of solve things is what he had to actually give up in the end.
No, yeah, I get that. Like I said, I think that was made clear in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But I felt like for the first 4 episodes, that was not clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only gripe. It's just it took a long time for the core, the heart of the show to be made clear, when I felt like it should have been clear the whole time. It took us through that journey the whole time. Yeah. That's
all. Personally, I like really enjoyed this this season of Loki. This is probably one of my favorite Marvel shows, just because like I finally got an ending that I was actually excited about. Half the time watching, it just fizzles out. It's not really epic, and this is finally got like an epic conclusion to like a character's journey. So I was really happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
In response to what you were saying, Jocelyn, I feel like I personally liked how they handled this series of it in the last 2 episodes of explicitly stating like his need to feel connected, to really feel family. It's really what but if you think about that, like that's all he's been looking for in his life. Like they even reference, I think, was it season 1, we're talking about the loss of his mom, him being messing up things all the time. Like when you could, I don't know, I feel like when I see that character, someone who's he feels like a lost soul in a way.
Yeah.
So for him to openly come out and be honest, like we get that honesty about like, yeah, I'm really just trying to, really connect with people. It's really about connection with people.
I want my friends back.
Yeah, I want my friends. Like, it's okay to say that, bro. Like, say that. And so he finally kind of had to he finally had to be open about this. So I thought that was actually what made this way more that humanizes his character a lot more because like we
Absolutely.
see him as the villain constantly through the MCU. So this is one of these moments where he's kind of being vulnerable. So I kind of liked how they kind of played how they used these remaining 2 episodes to kind of explore that. So I thought it was really cool. This overall season was just, it felt like we were just on a roller coaster, and I feel like I agree. I didn't know where this was gonna go at all, but that was also the fun part about the mystery of like how are they gonna resolve this, and I really enjoyed how they ended it, and it was really good. So I was like cool with it. Trying to figure out what rating I would give it.
Well, they stuck the landing for a change.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of shows I think they have start out really strong and then ends up like flat soda. Like loses all its bubbles at the end. You're like, why am I still drinking this?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually because like a lot of the Marvel shows, they end with as they're meant to be springboards into another movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this show was a strict conclusion, which we don't really get too much in movies or shows anymore because people are constantly trying to like make more stuff, But it was so satisfying to have an ending, in a good one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, to me, I give it like an 8.5. Mainly because when you're approaching 9 and 10, like I say, you got to be kind of perfect, and this is close to that. There were some misgivings, but I really did enjoy it. I think it stuck the landing. I do like that we get an actual conclusion to this while still being able to be tied and interspersed into the other things that we know are going to be coming at the MCU. But like you said, we do get a definitive kind of stop, at least with his storyline and his part of it. Perhaps they rope him back in, somebody get him up out that chair, but then someone's going to have to replace him, I think, if they do. So that could be a fun conflict if somebody tries to basically recapture what they feel is their domain, with him being the new Time Lord. Would be cool. But we do get a definite stop, and kind of most of the storylines are kind of left at a certain point where we could just let it go. Now, wondering. I mean, there are a couple that I might be curious about, but for the most part, I'm good.
The Renslayer thing kind of left me with like, that was the one thing that was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that
was like a baby cliffhanger.
Yeah, I was like, I'm confused. I want to know more. I don't think that, like, I didn't really need to see her again. Like, I was fine with not seeing Renslayer, but that just left a door open.
The TVA is just letting everybody into the war room now. It's not just the generals and upper management. It had like the janitor. Everybody was up in there. The engineers. Everybody was in the war room.
It's true. I liked it. I liked it. I think, like I said, I think overall it's a good show. I can appreciate the arc that they took Loki on. Like my only personal misgiving is not even it's probably a misgiving that is not true to this character arc as I understand now. But my only misgiving was just like we didn't get to see. I just wanted to see Loki be a cool wizard for longer. That's all.
That's valid.
That's all. I just wanted to see just more powers, more cool Loki clothes, just him using his wit. And he did, just not in the way that I was expecting or hoping, but that's not a bad thing. Like, I don't think.
You wanted more Flash.
Yeah, just a little bit, it was a lot of orange for someone who's very much green,
Yeah.
So that's all.
You want him to be sporting that green, black, and gold the whole time. They put him in his little brown.
It didn't even have to be the whole time. I just, I just felt like for a good bit of this season, we were getting lost in like the plot of the TVA, and I felt like Loki was becoming a side character in his own show. Yeah. That was the thing that was frustrating me. Yeah. So that's all. That's why I was just like, oh, I wish I understood this through line earlier. But like now it makes sense that that he would become almost a side character in this plot line based on his glorious purpose that we've learned he's meant to realize
Yeah.
that it takes a lot of mess to even come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe that's kind of illustrating it. The fact that he's sitting on the sidelines, basically looking to his right and to his left, waiting for somebody else to step up, not realizing, no, that's you. You're supposed to step up and do that, not wait for this solution of all these other things that you're running through. You're the solution right now.
Yeah, like I said, it makes sense, kind of narratively. It just, as an audience member, it was starting to lose me, and I was getting frustrated because I was just like, Loki is the main character, and we know what's cool about him, and I want to see it, but we're not seeing it, and he's starting to fall to the wayside. So I was getting angry. I was like, come on, man. And I knew that they were gonna drive it home in the last 2 episodes because that's been on brand for every Marvel show that has come out. It's like for the first 4 to 5 episodes, where it's a bunch of like lead in, it's a bunch of plot, it's a bunch of, with some mystery, but just a bunch of plot. Okay.
Yeah.
And then like the last 2 episodes is like, here's everything you need to know and why this is cool. So
Yeah,
I knew that that's what it was going to be. I was just like, it took so long and I'm tired now.
yeah, that is annoying when you have the title character that doesn't seem like for a long period of time he isn't the main character and the show is named after him.
Yeah.
I don't like when they do that. Yasuke. Yeah. It happens. So Jocelyn, what would you rate it out of 10?
I feel like a 7.8 or 7. I feel like that feels fair in my heart with this show.
You say 7.8?
Yeah, really, it's really 7.5. Just because I like, 7.5. That feels correct to me. There was a lot of stuff that was great about this show. There was a lot of stuff that was frustrating me about the show. Silky was that's her name, right? Silky.
Sylvie.
Sorry,
What
yeah.
you say,
We can call her Silky now. That's hilarious. We can call her Silky.
Sylvie was frustrating me a whole lot. The stuff with Miss Minutes was interesting but weird.
Hilarious.
And weird in the sense of like, they introduced this interesting conflict, but it, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it needed a stronger conclude. Like, I don't know. It just like, it wasn't as fleshed out maybe as it should.
That one I did not want to pay off for at the end. I didn't want to. We did not want to see Miss Minutes getting down. I did
not want to see that either. I did not, but I was just like, okay, there's an interesting conflict with this clock here that's been introduced. It's
like a conflict with the clock. You gonna call her the clock? She's on the wall right there. She the clock.
She the clock. She going through it. Don't worry.
Didn't want a conclusion. Didn't want to Miss Minutes OnlyFans. None of that. I didn't want to see none
of
that.
I didn't want it either. It was interesting, but I was just like, okay, it's weird. It's fitting weird in this arc, but it was interesting. I was like, okay, the Ravonna Time Slayer stuff. That's an open-ended. Is that Renslayer? What is her name?
Ravonna. Her name's Ravonna Renslayer.
Yeah, but she's at Time Slayer.
I sure did.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Ravonna Renslayer. Her stuff is left open-ended. Okay. But again, there was a lot that I liked about it. I just wish I could have seen Loki do more stuff aside from like appearing in and out and just doing his signature head flip all the time, because that's what he do every time. Listen, every time he show up in a room, his arms are flayed and then he's doing that, So, and I'm like, why you look like you about to do something? You just gonna run to one room to the next. You ain't about to do nothing. So
I'm calling it now though. Kang is gonna pick Renslayer back up.
I think so too. I think that's why she's there.
I didn't forget about you, baby.
Oh. Miss Minutes was nothing.
And then the clock, she just gonna be in the corner.
I showed her what you said. That was AI footage, baby. That wasn't me.
That was a different me. That wasn't the same me. That was another cat. That was another he.
That was one of my evil variants, baby. You know I would never do you like that.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
they gotta put her in a movie. That's what they need to put Renslayer in a movie. And whenever we get back to Kang's story or narrative, whatever that is, do we
Kang
know when we're
Dynasty.
gonna see him again?
Yeah.
Okay. Like is it a specific project? Do we know? Or is there
Kang Dynasty.
There we go.
I think because I think they're too far gone. I know there's rumors about them dropping him right now, but I think they're too far gone into it to drop him right now. Just like not to cross pollinate, but with Flash, they didn't drop old boy Ezra Miller, so I don't think they're dropping Jonathan Majors. They're gonna follow it up and see it through. They may add some other stuff in the interim just in case something goes funky, but I don't think he's getting dropped.
Mm.
What would you rate it, Jordan?
I feel like 8.5 was a solid rate. It was a solid rating. It was 8.5 based on what I said. 8.5 sticks.
Yeah. We're all kind of close. I guess Jocelyn liked it a little less because of the.
I just wanted to see more of Loki being Loki. That
Okay.
was my main
You've
thing.
been saying this since day one, though.
Yeah,
You were consistent. You were like, yeah, I want more magic hands, green magic hands.
I do.
I get it.
Wizard.
Yeah,
Be a wizard.
yeah, man. And listen, and you know what? To be even more fair, his arc is very true to a wizard's arc. Wizards are very weak in the beginning of any arc that they're in any kind of RPG or story. And then once they start to realize and get access to their powers, they're OP. Okay. And that's kind of what has happened. That's what it's been, so I guess I can appreciate that.
You gotta take something. You gotta shoot some bail. Come on now. They did that.
I just wanted to see a show, and because I know how I am with superhero stuff. The superhero stuff I want to see is like the reason why I know that they're cool. I want to see a whole show about it. Okay, like the Wonder Woman movie when it came out. I wanted a Wonder Woman movie where the Wonder Woman was a bodybuilder and she was just going hand to hand with folks the whole entire time. That's the movie I wanted.
Just
Okay.
feats everywhere.
Yes, because look, okay, that's all I wanted. All right, and her being ruthless because she is. She's a woman of justice, but she's also ruthless. She gonna kill them folk. She gonna kill that man.
Did you see the imagery, the concept art of Zack Snyder having Gal Gadot carrying like the heads of some like Nazi soldiers? You see, that's more in line with what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I wanted to see a whole show of Loki causing chaos and destruction. And it coming back to bite him in his ass. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, they could have had him being a little more mischievous the whole time. He got to taking things a little too seriously, a little too early.
I mean, season 1 was that. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. It's more so than season 2.
It's him and Sylvie running around doing stuff. Like, you look at how other people perceive them, they look like a bunch of mischievous trickster gods running around.
Sure, but I don't know. I just want sometimes I just want like straightforward. Like if this is a god of mischief and hedonism, I want to see it big and bold and all this kind of stuff. I want to see it loud and proud. Okay.
Wait a minute.
I'm only saying hedonism because they said it in season 1. Remember when they were at that? This was episode 3, season 1. Okay, where they were in that like. Him and Sylvie were in that like bar together or whatever, and he was like, oh yeah, we're hedonists or hedonistic, and I was like, they're drinking 1 glass of wine. I was like,
you want them to turn up for real?
Yes,
like, don't need to be like had 7-8 shots. Like
I wanted to see them turning the whole entire bar up. I wanted to see them filling the entire room with wine and everybody is lost. That's what I wanted to see, and then swimming on top of the wine. All right, that's what I wanted, the most extreme version
Do you
Man.
want to watch? Do you want to write a Loki fan fiction?
That wouldn't have been PG-13, I don't think.
No, but
If you want to write it, just write it. I mean, that sounds cool. They'll go for
facts.
it. Facts, we doing it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys once again for taking the time out of your day to chop it up and talk these things. I see 2 lurkers with a little eyeball icon up in the left part of the screen. So I know we've had a couple people watching live. I appreciate you, whoever you are, taking the time out of your day to listen to us on the Askari Cast. This audio will be uploaded on Thursday to Spotify for podcasters. The Askari Cast, the name of the channel. Once again, description. There will be links to our websites. You can look at our own creative endeavors if you so choose and are interested. Thank you all. Once again, we will talk to you all next week once we figure out what it is we're going to talk about. Now this is over.
Peace.
Sound good. Bye.
Peace.